It's still good morning, guys. I was about to say good afternoon. All right. I'm Dr. Edgar Blevins from Southern University, and I recently retired, so I'm still associated with the university. So I'll give you a little background about me. But of course, we're the winning team from last night. So you can congratulate us anytime that you choose to. So okay. Well, I'm going to talk to you about mentoring and academic success. So you will notice that during the presentations, the previous presentation you just heard, you're going to hear me reinforcing some of those things, and these other presentations, I think they all kind of go together from the financial side. There's Dr. Eric Jones will be in, and I like his story about one of his graduate students, and he'll probably tell you, going off and taking his money and buying a brand new F-150 while he's in graduate school. What are you doing? This money is for you to get through graduate school. So we try to link all these things in together, and hopefully, Eric was his mentor then, so I can't blame his mentor for that issue, but Eric was very instrumental and active with this program. He worked here for many years, so you'll see him and meet him later on. Okay? So all of us have a general slide that we're going to introduce who we are, what we're doing, the objectives. So I think all of us can read this slide here. We're going to get to a conclusion at the end really quick. So here am I. Okay, I worked for Southern University and was part of the university system for about 30 years. Sometimes I was on leave, other places, wasn't in the classroom all that time. But I taught mechanical engineering and some general courses. And I'm a Southern University undergrad. Dr. Blevins again was my electrical fundamentals class. The mechanicals had taken 2 network electrical courses, so he taught me a fundamentals course. And at Southern University, I went to Georgia Tech for my master's on the GEM program that you guys will hear about later. And then I went to University of Alabama in Huntsville to finish up my PhD year. But I taught courses from the, I have first year, but I'm very active and still active with STEM programs with K through 12. So teaching some students how to use these humanoid robots right now back in Louisiana. And then we have a master's program. We don't have a PhD program, so I taught graduate courses in general engineering back at Southern. Been a mentor advisor for NSD, ASME, and even assisted with the Society of Women Engineers throughout my academic career. And my interests, I always, as a kid, wanted to fly an airplane. I later learned to fly an airplane. Became a pilot, so I have an interest in aviation. And one of the questions in the other session was earlier session, about how can you use your interests? You're going for graduate school, how can you use your interests? And I was thinking of an answer on those lines too. So, so I had projects related to aviation and automobiles, worked for General Motors for a period, and like motorsports, big Formula One fan. So my wife and I would like to do a little more traveling. So that's a little background on me. And Dr. Stephen will be in shortly also, works in our department. So first off, our objectives here. We're going to figure out what is mentoring. And I was hearing some answers to some of my questions in the other presentation, so we'll just build on those. Benefits, finding that mentor. Some of them do not work as they should. What do you expect from the mentor and the mentee? It's a two-sided coin here, so we got to work together. Understanding the social environment, and then also understanding the community as a whole. So I'll give you a few examples that I'm fairly familiar with, and we'll see how we can discuss those as a group. So feel free to ask questions along the way. So the outcomes here: understand how to select a mentor. I'm going to reference a couple of sources at the end, where a lot of universities have links that are and departments, I'll say, on mentoring, how to find your mentor, what are the mentor should do for you, expectations, what are your responsibilities. There are official documents that some universities have, and I have used UNL's site also. You sign off that I'm agreeing to do this as a mentee I'm agreeing to do this. As a mentor, I'm agreeing to do this. And we can meet those expectations. That'll reduce our time and study period while we're in graduate school. Okay? So, where the word comes from, all right? Mentor. So Greek mythology talks about has a story about Odysseus that had a son and he went off to the war for 10 years and needed someone to take care of his son. So he just didn't hand him off to anyone. Someone there that became his mentor and had a strong relationship. All right. So from the early period, the word mentor basically means a teacher, a counselor, someone you may have a one-on-one relationship with. So that's what we're hoping, and that you will get someone that could help you through the process of graduate school. So again, a one-on-one individual relationship. And we're going to talk a little about advisors too. So all of us here, I think there were a couple of hands that were graduate students earlier. So most of us have an advisor. We're going to kind of redefine, at least for us, what an advisor, what you expect from an advisor. Right? So this mentor should be a person that's going to work with you and help you mature throughout the process in various ways. So can anyone give me a few phrases? Bullets here, but what do you think? What do you mean? What does it mean to you to say faculty mentor? Yes, sir.
You highly respect that person, and like you said, have a one-to-one relationship is probably the most important.
Highly respected. Okay. I saw another hand move. Okay, when I'm in Sunday school, my Sunday school teacher, if you move, he calls on you. So whoever moves. Okay, all right, answer that question. So anyone else?
They're all statues.
What's that?
They're all statues.
Oh, they all. I heard the question earlier. Okay, what is 1 + 1? You gave the answer, right? Okay, all right. We'll answer that question, right?
So the faculty mentor, I feel like is somebody that has an open ear to you at any time of the day. Like, somebody you could always go to.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we're gonna fill in some of these bullets later. So those are things that we'll see and should be on this list. All right. So first off, here, mentoring. There's mentors have the ability to assist graduate students. So we're thinking of the graduate student in this situation here. So hopefully with as I mentioned the card earlier, so academic and non-academic aspects of graduate school. All right. So you may there are various models that I mentioned. I'm going to show you a couple at the end of the presentation. Where universities have these models online that if you can use them, you can benefit from them. So the relationship involves an experienced individual, that mentor. All right. In my case, back in the day, was Dr. DeBeatty. All right. He was my undergraduate a teacher again, and so we ended up working together, and then when I came back, now he's at another university, we continued to work together from that sophomore level course that I took from him years ago. So that mentor influences the behavior, habits, performances, and progress of a less experienced person. So hopefully we can find someone. Advisor versus mentor. What is an advisor? Who in here does not have an academic advisor? All right, no hand went up. I didn't expect that. All right, so everyone has an advisor. What does an advisor do for you?
Keep you on track.
What's that?
Keep you on track.
Keep you on track. How? What is
Coursework.
Coursework. Okay. All right. How was that advisor selected?
I'm an undergrad, he's kind of given to you.
Given to you? Last name, right? All right. So they're assigned to you, okay? Last name. Go to where W's, all right, you go to this person. I have them, W's supposed to go to this person, and they come to me like, Blevins, please help me because I'm not getting help from Dr. J. So, all right. So that's typically the way that happens, all right? So those duties includes, all right, selecting those courses. you need to take this, this, and this. Okay, nope, you can't take calculus 3 without taking calculus 2. Okay, so those kinds of things. So with a thesis and dissertation, they're still going to help you. All right, if this is what you want to study, okay, these are the courses I think that will benefit you with that particular project or research you're working on. Right. So, is an advisor also a mentor? Can be. Can be. All right. So with mentors here, they have a deeper relationship than an advisor. Now I got a little question. I'm going to ask a few questions. I'm going to ask you at the end, and we'll see how you respond to that. So many students, as stated here, many students remain in contact with their mentors years later. Okay. So I don't call my advisor. Think about people that I've worked with. I can talk to Dr. Beef, I can talk to Dr. Samson Golson, my graduate studies, but I typically don't call my advisors. So you typically will stay in touch with them and bump into them at a conference somewhere and be glad to see them. So that's what a true mentor could be. So benefits of mentoring, all right? Fewer adjustments along the way. So you're studying. You're hitting the books hard, you're doing what you need to do, so that mentor can help you. Something comes up, let me talk with you. Okay, look, this is a way, and hopefully you will go to that mentor. That mentor may not know you're having issues unless you go to them. That's why I say it's a two-sided coin there. So they can help you get through the program faster, right? And you'll be more productive and have a responsible for the choices that are made. So the mentor can help you. This is the best approach to this. Okay, this is the way I recommend you take this from their experience, their knowledge. Right? There's a lot of research out there, and from the Council of Graduate Studies, which I have a slide that I'm going to show you, that shows that doctoral students here benefits from the advisement and the quality of the mentoring that play a major role in them completing their degrees. My advisor in graduate school told me when I started, he said 75% of the people do not finish their PhD. It's not because they're not smart enough. He says that other things come up and they just get sidetracked. So some of those things, but you got a mentor there to hopefully prevent you from getting sidetracked. You may be able to go on and complete. Here's a 10-year study here that shows in the bottom line there the African American black students that are roughly with at 50%. But look at the period. Now this study was done over 10 years, right? So, those that complete on 3 years, very low percentage on that end. So I heard on the previous presentation talked about the time period. So there's a student I like to reference, CBR, they call it the CBR syndrome. She had issues with her advisor. She was way out there on that curve. She started years before I did, and she may have finished 1 year before I did with my PhD program. But she had issues with her advisor, and I'm going to talk about some issues, areas there. But she complained about her advisor to the department head and the dean, not knowing the basic relationships that they had. They were best friends. So if I'm complaining to you about my best, someone's complaining to you about my best friend, whose side you think I'm going to be on? Okay, they were good friends, and that really slowed her up from her. And my mentor and advisor said, look, you don't want to take that approach. Please avoid that approach, and you'll be able to get through this process a lot sooner. Yes, sir.
How easy is it to change your advisor, or you kind of stuck with them if you have them?
Well, graduate
Like
school.
you said, undergrad, you can kind of hop around, build that relationship with somebody else.
It could be in graduate school, depending on what you're working on. So like I say, I know you're a civil engineer,
Yes.
and so if you want to do structures, and that other person is not structures.
It's not.
Yeah. But what happened, and one of the examples I'll give you later, is I know someone that was in mechanical engineering. I left his book in the back there. In mechanical engineering, he had issues, but he went to a civil engineering instructor, and that helped him with his issue. That was his mentor, but the advisor was in his department. Okay. All right. So says that one of the most important influences in the pursuit of graduate education there is having a faculty mentor doing that. So this state's undergrad. So there are lots of studies out there that can verify and make this valid, that you need a very good mentor to help you, you know. And there are some people that can get away with it, and some that cannot. But identifying a mentor. So, okay, who's that person? Someone that has a background. You know, these are several bullets that you don't have to have all of them, but you may choose someone from one of these areas. So, minority faculty member. My PhD advisor was the only minority faculty member in the department, and may have been in the college. You know, and I happened to be in that department, and he was one of my instructors. I worked for him as a graduate assistant, and became a mentor. And he's still trying to recruit me to come back to to work with it. Okay, but you know, these are various areas where you can possibly find someone that can work and be as a mentor. All right, this is from Dr. Howard Adams, the founder of the Gym Pro. So he has a book out, and some of this information I've taken from Dr. Adams, and Dr. Adams has been at this conference before also. But he has 3 P's of effective mentoring. I'd like for you to think about 3 words that start with a P that might be behind window number 1 up there, block number 1.
Professional.
Professional, personality, persistent. So I think this is what the mentor, so the mentor will be professional, okay? The mentor's personality is possible. Professional, okay? I think all of those could fall under these 3 P's, okay? But what he has, he's written, process. This is what a mentor can. What do you think Dr. Adams meant by process? How was that mentor?
The way they think.
The way they think? This person is going to mentor you through this graduate program. So not necessarily the way they're thinking, but that we want to help you with the process. And how could that mentor help you with the process? Let me give you this one. All right. Strategies. How can I get through this? So I go to that mentor. How can I get through that? Person that had the issues complained about her advisor not reviewing her dissertation. And I would go into his office. He initially, I think, was my advisor. I'd go into his office, and her dissertation draft would be on the floor, and I would look at it every time I go, and this would be a month later, and it'd be in that same exact position. I'm like, okay, I see other documents have moved. I look down, there's a CVR dissertation drafts in that same corner, same leaf sitting on top of it, you know, because she went in complaining about it. You just complaining to him and others, and it didn't move. That did not help the process at all, okay? That second P, permission. So that mentor come in, okay, how can a mentor give me permission? What do you think that means? Permission. All right. Gonna give me the okay. Look, I think that's a good idea. All right, okay, you can move forward with that. Like, you can take this approach. Grant you permission that this will be a good way of approach. P number 3, protection. How can a mentor protect you?
Making mistakes.
Making mistakes? How is it gonna protect you in this process of getting through graduate school?
Telling them their mistakes.
Tell me about their mistakes. All right. That mentor can be that shield. If there's like, if the example of when you grab my book out of my backpack back there, the example of a friend was at Georgia Tech and had an issue. He needed to he had a family issue he needed to get to, and I've heard him tell this story because I'm repeating it. And his advisor did not want him to leave the campus. He says, "Look, I need you here." We talked about, you're working for that professor. And his advisor did not, said, look, he had no concern whatsoever about the issue, the personal issue he had. But he went to his mentor, and the mentor spoke. Thank you, sir. The mentor spoke, and his name is Calvin Mackey. I don't know if you guys have heard of Calvin Mackey. He speaks at NESB. And a good friend of mine, I say he has a famous brother, Anthony Mackie, from the Spider-Man, one of those movies, several movies. And but he worked for Tulane for many years, and he was also known as what he tells in one of his stories. He was known as LD when he went to Morehouse, and he was in a joint program with at Georgia Tech for mechanical engineering, and I think it's physics in Morehouse. And he said he was identified as LD, a Louisiana dummy. He said because he and another guy had to go in the basement and learn how to read better than what they were reading. And he said they had a monitor that they had to read to get his reading level up. He went from reading that monitor to getting a PhD in mechanical engineering from Georgia Tech. You know, so yeah, he has a very good story in his book here, A View From. But he had the issue, and his advisor did not want him returned. But he went to a mentor, someone in civil engineering, and got with that person who, you need to take care of this business. You know, so his mentor was able to help him get through that difficult situation. So that mentor can protect you, and then let that mentor go and talk with his advisor. Look, okay, we can get through this, right? All right. The mentor's role. So with the mentor's role, they can provide some information that can help you. You go to that person. Look, here's an opportunity. Here's something that I'm aware of. You know, there's several graduate students that I know, and I like to reference one of my students, one of my classmates from years ago that was a very good student, and she went off to graduate school, and was not performing as she had as an undergrad, and she was wondering why. You know, and I'm gonna talk a little about peer mentoring later, but she didn't have someone initially to guide her through. Once she figured that out, things turned around and everything else went just fine. So that mentor can give you that advice. Look, this is an approach you need to take. You know, they have detailed expectations, being clear. When we look at some of the models, some of these things are written out. This is what I expect from you, right? Share experiences. We talked about that person being knowledgeable. I've been through this before, okay? Let me tell you, all right? Have a plan. On the other side, proteges need to be proactive. So go in, talk with that person. So, you know, this is what I want. You know, this is what I like to do. And show some interest. And that mentor is going to be more supportive and assist you more to get through. So committing to learning. Right? We're going to talk a little about time later and other things also. There's an organization, the Institute for Teaching and Mentoring. In 2019, Dr. Cross was selected. And I read a little about him, said I wanted to stick him in one of my slides before, and COVID kind of messed up. They kind of changed the 2020 awards. But there are other mentors, but he happened to be someone that looks like us. So I wanted to show him in my slides. And the bottom line, it says, mentoring is a brain to pick, an ear to listen, and a push in the right direction. So, you know, just thinking about that, we can get someone, we can go and they're going to listen to us. All right, let me get some information from them. So it was a very good write-up on Dr. Cross. Monica Cox, I bumped into her for many years, and she was just recognized at Ohio State. And there's a new program there. If you read a little about her, you'll see that she's very active in mentoring students and assisting them to get through graduate programs. So there are several people out there. So, you know, if I was at a school and there was someone I needed to find a mentor, I'd go knock on that door, right? I'd go knock on that door. Yep, she's a gym. She's a GM. All right, yep. All right, understanding that environment. That mentor that can help you, can provide you some coaching to get through that environment, understanding the process, the organizational norms, that issue with that student that did not understand I shouldn't be complaining about you to your best friend, you know? So look, no, don't go in there, okay? These are the people you probably should have on your committee. You know, and he said, no, I would like to have this person to look. Okay, these two do not agree, no matter what it is. Something is historical background. Professor X is not going to agree with Professor Y, no matter what they say. And there's a situation where the Professor X said, go and do this. Professor Y said, no, don't go and do it. Then they come back and they reverse their decisions, okay? And then they end up, okay, let's just not do it at all. But see, that mentor may know about those relationships and be able to help you. I think this person will be better suited to help you with your potential research, all right? So, the skills, the competencies required. This is what you're going to need to do. You're committed to doing this, right? So, avenues for advancement. Here's some opportunities. So these are things that mentor can actually possibly provide. So this other student she may have graduated a semester or two before me as an undergrad. Went off to graduate school, and top student. And she said she's doing all her assignments at Stanford and thinks she's just getting 70s on her assignments. She never made a 70 in her life, and she doesn't know why. She called them the good old boys over there, getting assignments 95, 90. She says, look, I'm working just as hard as them. But she was the person, I think, as an undergrad that could do everything on her own. Now I'm in graduate school and I'm going to keep doing everything on my own, right? And it was not working. She said once she figured that out, those 70s became 95s, and she was able to successfully complete that master's program during that time period at Stanford. But there are benefits to that peer mentoring. So, other students have gone through that process and they can tell you and work with you and provide information for you. So take advantage of your peers when you get to graduate school. All right? So here's a component of that community strategy from the peer side, right? So with new graduate students, a lot of universities have new graduate student orientations, and they bring in other students during those time periods. So take advantage. You're going to see who's there. And I can remember my orientation at Georgia Tech, and at that time we had the most gym students enrolled there. So I'm sitting around looking at all these. I think it was 21 is what I said at that time, and it was we identified each other. Let's try to get together and see who else we can identify to help us get through this process. And it was very beneficial, right? So building that community, they know about other mentors. I recommend you talk with this person. So, take advantage of your peers when you get into that graduate program. All right. So mentoring in general here, basically is an area that, helps to develop, makes it easier for graduate students to get through the process no matter where you go. So we're going to clarify your goals, career, educational, and learning processes. So just kind of keep that, if this is what you want, this is what you need to do. Okay? All right. So from my handbook, there's a mentoring handbook that I took a few bullets from. It says written for mentors and mentees, right? And this is kind of just a list. I'm gonna go through a couple of these. A list of things that a skillful mentor will, okay, support others, encourage excellence, is enthusiastic, all right, demonstrates respect, professionalism, which I heard earlier, all right, has good listening skills. Okay, I'm gonna listen to this person, all right, good relationship. All right, has sensitivity to others' needs. My friend Dr. Mackey, like I said, his advisor was not sensitive to his needs, but his mentor was. And his mentor was there to tell him, you go ahead and you drive back to New Orleans and take care of what you need to take care of. That project will be here, all right? So, finding someone that can help you with these bullets here, provide these things, and see things creatively, ongoing commitment to learning, right? So, from the support area. So it's going to discuss their ideas. Go ahead and talk. What do you think about this? Should I explore this? And like I said, that person may not be in your area, but as an engineer and civil engineering, they think like an engineer. So, okay, this is where I think you might want to approach that mechanical project. Okay? Work with students on specific goals. So you have a goal you set and you're thinking about, so that that mentor can help you try to meet those goals the best way in a timely fashion. And it says give you room to be creative. Not going to be like that advisor is okay, you do this, this, and this. Okay, that mentor should have a little more, allow you a little more flexibility. Okay, and it says let you know it's okay to make a mistake. I heard someone mention mistakes earlier. You can make a mistake and remedy. Okay, you can fix that problem. All right. So others have done the same. Respect, acknowledge the skills. Heard the first speaker talk about the gifts that you have. You know, you're good at this. All right. Why don't you take this approach? So, you know, actually that deeper relationship that you see, you know, you get from a mentor than an advisor can bring these things out. Right. You can talk about these things. Right. It says develop a system for remembering conversations. Okay, yeah, we did talk about that the last time. You don't have to go in like it's never been discussed and start all over again. Okay, what were you saying now? You know, if that mentor is doing these things, that mentor is paying attention to you and be beneficial. Constructive feedback. I was a graduate student on campus recently, and I walked past her and she had her head down, she was complaining. You know, I didn't know she was actually a graduate student. She was also an employee of the university. And I later was talking to someone and said, oh yeah, she's in this PhD program. She didn't like what her advisor just had told her. I don't know what it was, but she said, oh, she just complained. Because I think she wanted to take the approach, I'm going to graduate this semester. And that was that student I mentioned earlier. That was her philosophy too. I got to finish by this time. And that doesn't always work out that way, you know. So in graduate school, that was a guy at Georgia Tech with me. That was they just considered him a permanent a PhD student. Okay, Ron was there forever. Ron was there probably 4 or 5 years before I started my master's, and he was there 4 or 5 years after I finished my master's. Okay, I don't know what the issue was, but yeah, it could have been his project. You know, and I said, and some professors actually, and they've kind of tried to prevent this from happening. Some professors like to, I got this good worker, I don't want to lose him. I lose that person by graduating, okay? So I need you to keep working on this. So, you know, that could have been Ron's problem, you know, but I know he had several kids during that period too. So, you know, it probably took him 10 years to finish his PhD program, okay? So, but like I say, you know, accepting that positive, that feedback, and you don't fight it, okay? And I said these two students, I think again, examples I'm giving, they were fighting the feedback. So don't fight the feedback, all right? So, you know, if a student falls behind, don't think it's because of lack of commitment, and they give a reason, and so that mentor can possibly try bringing that out, okay? All right. So, from the character, her character come up early also. You know, recognize that your research is still forming the professional beliefs and habits. So we're trying to build character, and the mentor should be trying to build character into the individuals. Have standards, you know, be supportive, disciplined, and have a learning environment. So from here, this is University of Washington Graduate School's website. See that word there on the left side, mentoring. This is what they have on the mentoring. Once I click on mentoring, I get a list of things. Some of these things I talked about, you can't read some of the lines there. I think this before. You know, it says building your mentoring team. So they have information about how to build a mentoring team. They have what is a good mentor, all right? Age and experience. Then they're additional information under each of these links here. The mentoring experience, getting started, finding good mentors. So, you know, a lot of universities and their graduate programs have programs like you see here. The Council of Graduate Schools, how to get the mentoring you want. A guide for graduate students at diverse universities. So they have some of these pointers and things that we talked about that can benefit you. So here's a little quiz. This is an advisor kind of quiz. It says, where did your advisor go to undergrad? Who knows where the advisor went to undergrad?
JSU.
Okay, you get 1 point. All right, all right. Where's your advisor's hometown? Who knows the advisor's hometown?
It's not good in Mississippi.
All right. Yeah. Who knows the advisor's advisor? All right, all right. How many siblings does he or she have, and what are their profession? Got a brother that does this, got a sister that does this, all right? What's your advisor's middle name? Who knows the advisor's middle name? My students knew my middle name because they moved us to a new email system. They kind of have 2. And it's supposed to be your first and last name. My middle name is Renee. And I said, if you go back to my hometown, people don't know who Edgar Blevins is. They know who Renee Blevins is. Okay? But when they created a new email address, for some reason, and they had me in the grade system, one of the grade systems, my first and middle name was one word. So when I all of the courses that were listed, it had my first and middle name there. So so all my students knew my middle name. See, but it says if you can get a 4 or 5 out of this, you know way too much about your advisor. Right? 2 to 3, you stop. All right. And it says 0 to 1, you have a normal relationship with your advisor. That's not a mentor. Okay. And this is from THD Comments. So here's one more here. And then I have a good example of a student that it says, you're thinking about taking a vacation. And so you may not be able to read all of this. It says, when do you tell your advisor? Yeah, it's kind of my example with Dr. Calvin Mackey. He needs to go home, but it wasn't a vacation. But he was trying to get his advisor to accept this and understand. Do you tell him months before? It says, I forgot. They'll forget it. And say email them as evidence. 2 week notice. You're leaving before you go. You can finish what you haven't done before. You okay? You leaving? All right. Hurry up and finish that before you leave. All right. Then it says here the awkward period here. If you haven't told him or her by now, you might as well just wait till the night before. We'll pop this on. Right? All right. Again, you're a graduate student. You're working. For this professor, you're being paid. It's kind of a job there, okay? So remember, okay, if I tell them the night before, I say, bye, please don't fire me. You're hoping. Just don't fire me. I'm gone. Right? Then the other here say, I'm going to get on the plane now. And what's in this box, I'm on the plane. So if I get busted, I'm going to confess. And if not, I'm going to delay and say, well, I'll take it. And it goes, my alarms tell me it's over. Okay. So, I'm in Cancun. I was talking to someone else earlier that students post things, places, and don't know others can see them. And I had an undergrad student who was in Cancun doing midterm, but wanted the test mailed to them. Not feeling well. I'm like, oh, I see. You're on the beach there. Okay. Understand why you're not feeling well. A little too much sun. Okay. But no, and this is after the fact here. It says, it's over. I'm just not going to tell them at all. Down here says, why do you look so relaxed? What, me? The student says. Okay. Yep. And so, you need to think about this. So if you take off, in some cases, faculty members don't want you taking your spring break. They want you to work on your project during that time period. So don't go in with that undergrad mentality. All right? A couple more here. So this is Dr. Howard Adams. There a picture of his website and where some of my information came from. And you'll hear a little more about the gym program later. So and here are some of the references that I have, and I think you'll get access to that. So myself and Dr. Stephen Applebaugh is here. I have here's a worksheet that came from one of those handbooks, and it has questions that you can ask. It says the reason I want to mentor, I hope my mentor and I will, and you kind of choose through. I hope my mentor and I will discuss coffee, over coffee. I hope my mentor and I will discuss academic stuff. Thank you. All right. Career options. So these are kind of the things that you might you kind of go through, and this will help you to choose a good mentor. And I said these things are found in handbooks, mentoring handbooks all over, and it's 2 pages to it. I think something on the back side that you can
For sure.
look at. So you can, yeah, how much time you plan to spend. Okay, what are my top strengths? So if you can go through and think about these things, I think it will help you to find and choose a good mentor.